it's an issue that a lot of people can't really catch until it's kind of too late. Can you spot it?
This sounds ridiculous!
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric and I am the tuner here at Proven Power Cycles, and today we have a really cool bike. We have a Gen 5 ZX10r. It's a 2017. So in 2016 they went to the 5th generation through basically 2018. They changed the head and came around a little bit, and then they changed it again in 2019 through 2020, and then again in 2021 and newer. Anyway, this is referred to as the blacktop model. He's got a lot of goodies on this bike though. So we spoke with him and we already noticed a few around the bike, but he does have a set of Carbon Smith velocity stacks, the Sprint P08 air filter. He's got a 520 DID EVR7 chain with a Renthal aluminum sprocket. It's a really good little combo. That's a very good combo. Also has the Akropovich 3/4 slip-on, and I believe that's it. We have talked to him about doing some other kind of modifications for him in the future. He does still have the flapper and the stock airbox, and there's a few other things in there that it's still stock. So I thought it'd be really interesting to see what this thing makes today. We're gonna see, right now it's completely stock as far as the ECU goes. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna baseline it real quick. We're gonna get that stock number and see what kind of power we can pull out of this thing today. So, did any of you hear that? And I don't know how clear the video is gonna sound, but did any of you hear that sound? Or it's a very distinct sound that occurs. And it's an issue that a lot of people can't really catch until it's kind of too late. So what it is, and I'll show you how to spot it on the dyno graph. This is how you know. This is using the dyno for diagnostics as well as just making power and all the other good things, okay? This is why I love the dyno. I'll give you a hint. I'll let you look at this graph. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Can you spot it? Can you see any of the issues? There's a couple. We're running very rich, extremely rich AFRs. We're 11.2, 11.3, 11.1 all the way here at top end. We're at 11.7 here. It's just overall, it's just insanely rich. But notice right here, you see this dip down and then it comes here and you see these little peaks, how it kind of goes up into a peak and then it comes down, and then right here it kind of goes up into a peak and then flat lines again. That is a slipping clutch. That's how you diagnose a slipping clutch on the dyno. And it makes sense because as I felt this lever, look how tight it is. This thing is stupid tight. There's no play right here, right? You're supposed to have a little bit of play, and it looks like somebody already tried to do the adjustment on here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go through this real quick and we're gonna get this adjusted right for the guy and hopefully salvage this clutch. So yeah, this is really tight. It's got a really stiff grab. Now I don't know if he's got any clutch mods, but just in general, this is way over tightened. Now some people do this thinking that their clutch is gonna grab harder. That's not the case. What's actually happening is you're not relieving the clutch plates of pressure. So when you pull that lever in, it's supposed to release the clutch plates so they're not slammed together. Well, when you over tighten that, what you're doing is you're actually pulling and you're slightly separating the plates, so they're never fully grabbing. They're basically glazing each other. So it's gonna cause premature wear, it's gonna destroy the clutch, and a way less mileage than it normally otherwise would be. Just because it's more or less like leaving your hand on the clutch slightly pulled. It's more or less doing something like that. That's what basically you're doing when you over tighten the cable. Once we fix that, we're gonna rerun it again. It is running a rich AFR no matter how you slice it. Air fuels are definitely rich, so it definitely needs a retune. I believe he said this bike was tuned already. I'm not sure, but no matter what, we need to fix this clutch issue, and then we'll go from there and address the tuning issue. So now I already adjusted it. Admittedly, it was pretty tight, but basically this is what you want it to look like. You want to have that little bit of play, okay? When you over tighten the clutch, what you're doing is you're pulling this actuator arm in, right? So the tighter you pull, and here I'll show you at the adjustment up at the top. As I tighten that up, this line will get tighter and tighter and tighter, okay? And what ends up happening when you tighten this up, what do you think when you pull the clutch in? The clutch, the lever, and I'll show you, goes in, okay? That's me pulling on the clutch. I'm pulling the clutch in, I'm letting the clutch out, okay? When you over tighten the clutch, when you over tighten this clutch cable, you literally are pulling this as if you slightly have your hand on that clutch lever, okay? So just wanted to show you guys a different angle of it, but more or less this is what you want. You want there to be just a little bit of play so you know that there's no pressure on that pressure plate and the clutch plates from that lever being squeezed in, or again, it being over tightened. If we're still having a slipping clutch issue, even though we just adjusted it and everything, if the clutch is already kind of gone and it needs to be gone through, I'm not gonna tune the bike. We're not gonna push it. I'm not gonna sit here and beat on it. There's no reason to do that. All that's gonna cause is just more and more problems on the bike. We're just gonna be burning up little fibers and dumping it into the oil. So, you know, we're not gonna do that. That's not what I do. So we're gonna check it. We're at least gonna check it. If the clutch is grabbing, everything is good, we'll say, let's go, we're fine, let's you know, it's good to go, let's tune it. We're getting ready to re-baseline it again and see what it does now that the clutch all adjusted. Hopefully this thing's salvageable. Hopefully I caught it in time. We'll see. Let's see what it does. Alright guys, so it's been a little bit since the last little video that I just took, and I kind of wanted to catch you all up to speed. So we did resolve the clutch issue by readjusting the clutch. We got that dialed in. The bike has been tuned before. There's plenty of signs in here. One of the most obvious ones was that when I went to go read out the ECU, it was locked by another tuner on the Woolwich network. So we were waiting on Woolwich to unlock the ECU for us. We got access to the ECU. We just rewrote our own little bench map in it. I have no idea how it's gonna perform, but let's see. We also noticed a couple of other things. One was tire pressure was insanely high on this tire. It was around 46 PSI, which is crazy because as I kept looking at the graph, I still was like, we're not where we need to be power-wise. It looks like I'm spinning a little bit or something. Something just looked a little off. And that's when I went ahead and measured the tire pressure, and that it was, again, it's through the roof. So I like to set them around 35 or so PSI. Some people, again, it depends on the application. Stock wheelbase guy, more than likely he just likes to have fun in the streets. 35 is plenty of air pressure, in my opinion. Some of these other guys, like some of the faster guys out there, we're running all the way down to like 18, sometimes even lower than that on the street to get our bikes to hook. But again, this is a different application. It's a street bike. You know, I realize he's out there probably hitting turns. It looks like it. The tires are pretty chewed up. So we should actually see a little bit more power out of it just by doing that. Even though we've been tweaking the flash and everything, we should just get a gain in power just from that alone. So, but we do have the different stages, and no matter what, we're gonna show you guys the baseline versus the final, and it's pretty massive jump. But again, we've kind of seen and solved a couple of issues that were robbing power, and also just in general a couple little mechanical issues. So now that all of that is resolved, the bike's actually making some pretty decent power. So I'm gonna go ahead and shoot the last final run so you guys can also get an idea how the quick shifter sounds now that we got that dialed in. So here we go. Alright guys, so we got the 2017 ZX10r all finished, wrapped up, and this thing came out killer compared to how it came in. Now, we obviously spotted several little issues that we were able to capture, and I got all the dyno numbers pulled up here. Admittedly, I want a little bit more power out of this bike, but let me go over the numbers and I'll explain why. Originally, the green line is how he came in with this baseline, making 162 wheel. Now, ignore the air fuel. We had a little issue with the sensor. It was kind of warming up still, it looks like. We were just having some glitches with it. So anyway, 162 with 71 foot-pounds of torque. And if you follow this green line, look right here. And right here is our, what mark is that? 11,600 RPM or so. I heard it on the dyno, and I remember mentioning this earlier in the video if you guys could hear it as well. And what I noticed is we had a slight odd pull, and if you look here how the power drops off, and then we have this little loop, and I showed you earlier in this, that looks like a slipping clutch. Well, we went through the clutch. We obviously realized, hey, this clutch is not set up properly as far as the adjustment goes. Now, he had already put some miles on this thing, so who knows if there was an issue with the clutch, if we've glazed it or something like that, because over time you can do what's called glazing to your clutch. And what that basically means is that the clutch is never fully intact, like it's never fully like smashed together plate on plate. So it's slowly burning the plate with oil mixing in with it. When you add a lot of heat with that oil, you'll get what's called that glaze. And it basically makes the clutch a little slick, and it never fully grabs to its full potential after that. There's some tricks to getting it back. We have some tricks that we do that we can remove the clutch and kind of save it, if you will. But this was close enough that I said, hey, look, everything looks okay. Once we did the clutch adjustment and it was holding good enough. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is this. Notice now, after we did the clutch adjustment, we picked up an immediate four wheel horsepower gain right where it slipped. But look at the AFRs now. Rich. We're down at 11.1 AFR, and at low end 10.8. Good God, this thing was drinking fuel. Let's look over here, and it could have been a mail-in flash, I don't know. 11 flat at the low RPM. That's god awful. Let's see what the stab looks like. Yeah, 10.99. Oh, that's shitty. So anyway, really bad, even at the high RPM. We'll even come up here at the high RPMs. Let's see, 11.1, 11.1, 11.0 AFR at 12K. Yeah, just horrible tune. So, and again, it could have been a mail-in, who knows. And so now, after going through, we've adjusted the clutch, we've fixed the tuning. Now we did our final runs here, and we ended up with a 183 wheel horsepower with 78 foot-pounds of torque. Now we have the AFR cleaned up a lot. Now granted, we have a little blip here, we added some fuel in there, and then we had this little rich spot right here. So we pulled some of that out right before he left, but admittedly, after fixing all of these issues, we did run pretty late. So I was trying to get through this quickly, and I was trying to film at the same time. But either way, look at the final. We gained monumental power over compared to what it was, 182 to 161. Now, again, guys, we did find other issues. I mentioned it earlier. We did realize also that his tire pressure was pumped up all the way to around 45 PSI, like 45, 46 PSI, which is insanely high, honestly. You're basically gonna roast the tire out on the street. You know, if you're trying to roll into that throttle, it's gonna roast it. It has way too much pressure. So we were at around the 181 wheel, 180 wheel mark. We dropped the pressure down to 35 PSI, and then we were able to pull out this 183. Again, I wanted to give you guys full insight as to what we did. Still though, it's still a 20 wheel horsepower gain compared to how he came in with without messing with that tire, you know, without dropping the pressure on the tires. So, but again, major gains. He has already messaged us back and he was like, dude, thank you guys so much. The bike rides incredibly better. In fact, he just left us a Google review. We really appreciate it. And you know, again, just the bike came out so much better than what it was. And it was a beautiful, beautiful Gen 5 ZX10. So I'm sure he's gonna be happy. He said he wants to come back to do a few more mods. We're gonna do an airbox mod for him, the flapper mod for him. We got a few other little tricks up our sleeves that we're gonna do to help pull up that power. And with an oil change and some of these other things that he's gonna do, it should help clean up and make more power overall, because this thing has been, I'm sure this has got fuel in this oil based on how rich overall that bike was running. I mean, 11.0 air fuel, that you're getting to the point now where fuel is seeping past your piston rings and it's getting into the oil, it's mixing into the oil now, and it's causing a lot of harm on the motor over time. So I'm glad we were able to rectify this for him. And again, he's thrilled. He's super, super happy, and I don't blame it. I'm sure the bike feels like a rocket ship compared to what it has been. So anyway, we're really happy for the guy. We're really happy that we were able to solve, like, we see all this. Like, this is what we see, guys. So I'm glad that you guys can come along for this journey. I really am, because these are the things that I like showing people, and I wish I could show more of this out there. So you guys can also realize, like, man, I'm having the same type of problem with my bike. And maybe, again, this will help you guys solve a problem that you're having. So with that being said, I'm signing off. We got a lot of work to do. I really appreciate all the support you guys have been showing us, the love, all of it, the comments, all of it. Thank you so much. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel so you guys can see more videos like this, and you can get a lot more knowledge out of future videos and more stuff that we're gonna be filming. So thank you guys again. We love you guys. Thanks for the support. Be safe. We'll see you on another episode.